a fun occasion for us to be able to welcome Elizabeth McCall, Master Distiller at Woodford, with her dad, Tim O'Neill. Definitely a first for us at Reserve Bar. And I was just so delighted that you guys were willing to kind of jump in and go for this, especially ahead of Father's Day. I just love that we get to enjoy some whiskey together.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited. I love having my dad here. When I was like, Dad, do you want to come pick out barrels with me to do a personal selection? I was first like so excited to get the opportunity, but then I was like, my dad's gonna love doing this.
Yeah, it's fun. This has been a great experience for me. I'm, a great big lover of bourbon. I was trying to figure out how it came to be loving bourbon so much, and I really, because I'm from Ohio, and I didn't grow up drinking bourbon or even whiskey for that part, and Elizabeth's mom worked for Seagram. So we got a lot of whiskey from Seagram's that was blended whiskey. And quite honestly, we drank Crown Royal like with Coke,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was in
the 7 and 7s.
Yeah, that was like in the early 70s. And
wow.
It was kind of like, we could get, like Royal Crown was like, $25 for a bottle. And we drank it with Coke. I mean, who would do that, But anyhow, we did. But then when we came to Louisville, it just was like kind of a natural thing. In Kentucky, you drink bourbon,
Yeah, I always remember like Dad come home from work and he'd have a bourbon. Like that was it.
Yeah.
Or Dad would have.
Yeah.
Well, we have quite a lineup of both bourbons and cocktails for tonight. So we wanted to just explore, and especially celebrating Woodford Reserve in this process of just how to enjoy drinks with Dad. So we're going to walk through 3 great pours that I think we all enjoy quite a bit. And one I'm super excited about. This will be my first time in a Masters Collection release, which will be incredible. We have 2 cocktails to walk through. And if you have questions, add them in here. We will try to answer your questions along the way. But why don't we jump in and then start the conversation? So let's start with this just straight Woodford bourbon. I mean, classic, one of my first actual bottle purchases ever. And one that I constantly have. In fact, I had to get a new bottle today because I realized all my friends drank the last one at my whiskey party on Friday.
No, I was like going to get mine. I was like, shoot, my 175 is gone. Like,
yeah,
we got to restock on that. But no, the Woodford bourbon is really good. And I think you were drinking Woodford bourbon before I worked there.
Yes. Actually, I started, I don't know if I can say this or not, but I started out with a competitor with Maker's Mark and really enjoyed that. And then I started drinking Woodford. I had Woodford and I thought, this is really good. And it just that's the thing for me about bourbon is it's very personal. I mean, everybody has what they like in it, the top shelf, or if you like the bottom shelf, who cares?
Yeah.
It's what you like, the way it should go, and what you enjoy. I mean, I used to, a lot of times after work, it was a bourbon and a cigar on the deck. That was
man after my own heart, man. That's awesome. What I love about this is 90.3, right? Or sorry, 90.4. Such a great middle ground for bourbon, especially like your Kentucky straights. Like this is that perfect place where you can have it neat, you can have it on a rock, you can make it in a cocktail, and it's got legs the entire way.
I know, it really does. It's such a easy to drink bourbon, and it's one of those that, like, my dad was saying, like, you have people who want something that's super, like, they go to the restaurant, they go like, what do you have that's rare that I can't get all the time? And then when they can't get that, they're always like, well, I'll have it. Because they know it's going to be good every single time, and it's the gold standard of Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It's 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% malted barley. So it's got all the complexity in there. It's on the nose, like It's sweet, but you get the oak and you get the spice and dried dark fruit. It's just so delicious. I love drinking this on the rocks. Like when Dad and I drink this, what like we fill up a glass with ice, and then we fill it up with our bourbon, and then by the end of the night, it looks like this,
Yeah,
where it's a little bit watered down, but you just sip on it all night long, and it
absolutely.
better as it goes on, and it's evolving cocktail. Like that's what it is. It just
Yeah,
different notes of
really
itself.
true. I
It's
mean,
true.
typically I have one pour every in the evening, and it lasts me all night. I mean, seriously, 5 o'clock is cocktail hour, and at like 9 or 9:30, I'm finishing off what is left because I've been adding ice as I go along, and I just enjoy it, and it's
Yeah,
not the same all the way along.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, it does open up in such a nice way. And I mean, Elizabeth, like really briefly, if you can talk about, and I know we did the Compartes virtual tasting as well, like those very unique, like focal points in flavor, right? So like how you're really trying to nail some very distinct flavors within Woodford, but also knowing that there are hundreds of flavors in Woodford that people can pull out.
Yeah. So there are 215 flavor notes that we've actually flavor attributes that we've actually noted in a glass of Woodford Reserve. And so it plays nicely in all kinds of cocktails. So later we'll do a classic cocktail, and then we're gonna do a cocktail that Woodford has done, and that's our own kind of classic cocktail for summertime, I think. And but it plays nicely in all kinds. One of the highball, and one of them is that classic, more spirit forward. But it ends up in all kinds of cocktails, and we've actually just recently with programs with different bartenders and experts in their area, here's the list of 215 flavor notes, the cocktails off of that, and all of them have done. Nobody is repeating flavor notes. They're all going to.
Mhm.
That's the Woodford. Like you can do so much with it, and being at 90.4 proof, it's not super low, but it's also not crazy high. Like we were talking about, like high proof has its time and place, but I think on a day to day basis, like this is
Sure.
your everyday bourbon.
Yeah. I mean, what's your daily drinker? It's not high proof. My stomach would just hurt all the time. Um, Occasionally it's great, but then that one day you get heartburn and you're like, oh wait, need a break. But at 90.4, like this is perfect. And I think that, I mean, the evolving cocktail leads us really nicely into the second release, which is double oaked. And I think the complexity that you get in the bourbon, I mean, just all the more in double oaked.
Oh yeah, the double oaked came out in 2012, and was this release that we had, thinking like we wanted to have a dessert bourbon, one that people would enjoy neat after their dinner, and also just something that was, we've already been telling, like Woodford Reserve Distillers bourbon is the world's finest bourbon. So how do we make something fine like that? Well, we start with regular Woodford Reserve bourbon, but we finish it in a second barrel. And the second barrel is heavily toasted, lightly charred. We have our own cooperage, so we can build barrels as we want to. And the heavy toast, 40 minutes of toasting, really brings out the sweet aromatic notes. So all those vanillas,
Mm.
butterscotch notes, it's just so good. And then we're only aged barrel for up to a year, and it really increases the color. So when you look at your double oak, yes, the bottle, like you just held up the bottle is thicker, so
Sure.
it's darker, but it truly is much darker in color, and it's that barrel, and it's only in that second barrel for up to a year. But this is
Let's see
one of
if I can.
well, I have to, so I always call it the most friendly hello you'll get from a bourbon whiskey. It has also been quoted as the Ted Lasso of Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And if anybody's watched Ted Lasso, it's like Ted Lasso is this jovial, sweet. I'm so sad the show's over. And if you haven't watched it, I'm jealous of you because you get to go on a fun journey of positivity and just loving. But I mean, that's what Double Oaked is. It's like, oh, you know, and you just go, okay, hello, hi, friend. It's butterscotch caramel, dried dark fruit, a little bit of baking spice. And when you taste it, you take that, close your mouth, breathe out your nose. It reminds me of making chocolate chip cookies when you have the wet ingredients of brown sugar, regular sugar, vanilla. You just are, it's delicious.
Absolutely. And I poured my actual dram into a glass because I want to let this thing open up, because I know just over time this thing just becomes such a great sipper.
It's so good. And it's presented at 90.4 proof. So it is not, we're you can compare directly how the barrel, having a second barrel changes the flavor profile. And that's what's really fun about the Woodford family of brands, is that we have whiskey that everything about them is the same. We're only changing something. And with this, we're only changing the maturation. With some of our distiller select, if you go from our bourbon, rye, malt, or wheat, you're going to taste the impact of the grain recipe, impact of the barrel. And it's a really great impact. It's one of my favorites. This is when I first started drinking bourbon just on the rocks, was with double oaked. I actually had it with a squeeze of lemon.
Okay.
Delicious. What do you think, Dad?
It's, double oak is my favorite. Really enjoy it a lot. And I got to say, when I drink double oak, there's less ice that goes in the glass. I usually do put a little ice in there. I like it. I like the whiskey cool. And, there is a little, it waters it a little bit, but, it's a great, great whiskey to drink. I really enjoy it. And that's my go-to all the time, really.
Awesome. Well, if you're following along, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, I just see a white box where there should be Woodford Double Oaked to click on and order. But of course, we have all of the releases that we're talking about today on Reserve Bar. So you can get those as we're talking or right after. There is also a free shipping code on all of the Woodford Reserve releases right now, which I believe is actually just Woodford Reserve. But you can go and check those out. So if you also see a white box, for some reason the image just doesn't want to show up, but that's how technology goes sometimes.
Still difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties. On that note, I'm going to give my evolving cocktail just one quick sip.
So good, right?
Oh yeah, so good. This is the one where I always tell people, for me, when this opens up and really gets some water in there, I agree with chocolate chip cookie. It almost becomes like oatmeal cookie for me, because you almost get like that essence of like the oats and kind of like that baked good,
the baking spice
hardiness in there. Yeah.
So good. You can't go wrong with it. If you're new to bourbon, I always think like start out with double oaked. I know it's a higher price point, so go to the bar, get it on the rocks, get it in a classic cocktail. I mean, that's the thing, is like it was meant to be this after dinner drink, but now people are putting it in cocktails all the time. It's a great old fashioned, it's a great Manhattan. I mean, you can do all kinds of things with it, and that's what's really special about it. And in there, like if you want to jump in and try it, just meet her on the rocks. It's the right bourbon to do that.
Yeah, I can agree more. I mean, this one, if there was something that actually was in my bar more than this, it's this. So, I mean,
but it goes away too quickly. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Because I've got mine, and it's like the bottle's pretty much gone behind me, and I can't leave it out there because it goes away so quickly. So
yeah. Yeah, I lost my 175 2 weeks ago, so it was a hard day.
I'm just thinking, my double oak doesn't come out of the cupboard unless it's somebody special or just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little selfish about it.
I know. Well, you have to be.
It's a really good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to manage your favorite pours, so or else your friends are just gonna come and grab a few favorites for sure.
True.
Yeah.
Which leads us to this third one. Now, I have not had this before, so I am super excited. I mean, Masters Collection. This is what, the 19th release? It is the 19th release.
Yes.
Tell us about this Sonoma triple finish. I mean, another, like, I think really popular Masters Collection release. I mean, I was hearing so much about it, I had to find it, and then I was able to work it into this virtual tasting, which worked out. But I mean,
Just had to get yourself a bottle.
I did.
Yeah. This is one. So this is the first one with my signature on it, I believe. So it's on the which is really cool. And this was the first one that I had heavy influence in. So this started out as when we're doing innovation sessions, we get together, like it's me and we have somebody on our processing team, Chris Morris, another person on our consumer insights team, just to kind of get all the perspectives on when we're putting batches together. And we had some barrels that we had an inventory, and we are putting these blends together. And I was always a big fan of our Sonoma Cutrer Pinot Noir finish Masters collection from I think 2015, and because I love red wine, and so how can we do this again? Well, we had an opportunity with Sonoma Cutrer. They had taken our Woodford barrels and they aged their Pinot Noir in
Oh,
our.
awesome. Yep.
So when they dumped those, they said, "Hey, we dumped these. Do you want them back?" And we said, "Yes, please send them back to us." So we got those barrels back. We put our Woodford Reserve bourbon in those barrels. So we have Woodford finished in Woodford barrels that had housed Pinot Noir. So taking on some of that character. Then we have some of our brandy barrels left over. So a number of years
Wow.
ago, the Woodford brandy barrel finish. So that was Corbel brandy, and also from Sonoma County. So we took those barrels and blended it in, and it was good, but it was missing something. Then we're like, let's get Pinot barrels from Sonoma Cutrer and put Woodford in the Pinot barrels. So we got those back, and then we blended all three components together, and we are like,
Wow.
it. And that's what this release is. So it's all three of them blended together to create just a beautiful, beautiful whiskey finish in different barrels. So it's one that has all those. It has the spice character. Like brandy to me has a little bit more of a spice to it. But this has also all those great dried fruit notes of the Pinot Noir, and the finish is those nice raisiny grape notes. So, well, Lee, this is your first time
This is
tasting.
it. This is it.
And one thing about Masters Collection, like this will never be done again. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
we do not repeat. So for those of you who haven't gotten a bottle of this, I encourage you to get one. I know that it's a higher price point, but honestly, for the market today, it's what, like 130 average dollars, maybe. I mean, it just depends on your market, but maybe 150 for that. Like you'll never see this liquid again. It's absolutely amazing. It's 90.4 proof. And if you just nose it, you get the warmth of the Woodford,
Wow.
and you get a little bit more like spice on the nose. You kind of like feel it.
But
But
I
the
also get these great floral and like vanilla notes. Like,
yes,
and I think that's that influence of probably the Pinot Noir, like getting these great deep floral notes.
no, and well, in the brandy, like brandy has that
Oh, yeah, the brandy. That's right, man.
like oxidized sort of character to it. That's like I enjoy it. Swirl it up,
That's really good.
give it a sip.
My goodness. Come on. I'm
Oh,
gonna see, Tim. This is what I'm putting in the back cabinet so no one can find.
Yeah, really.
but it
You know, the other thing I noticed too, the finish on this
finishes everything.
is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like you want to just sit and enjoy the finish. Like that was like the sip is good, but the finish is where it's at. Like that is it's so good. I haven't sipped this in a while. I
Man.
mean, I've been enjoying it, but I've
Yeah.
shared people and God, but it's that grape, it's that
Yeah,
wine, red wine.
Well, and it's just vibrant, right? Like it just opens up and says, "Take another sip." Like it's a really great pour all the way through. Now, Tim, Elizabeth mentioned something that I think is super important, and I'd love to ask you a question. I mean, what does it mean to you to have your daughter, like, her signature is now on these bottles as a master distiller? Like, have you thought about that at all? I mean, I
Oh,
think that's
yeah,
just incredible.
yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I'm so incredibly proud. Just shout out to my other two children. I'm very proud of you as well.
Michael and Brian, you're
Michael and
amazing
Brian,
too.
they're great guys and families and stuff. But I mean, it really is. I mean, for somebody who enjoys this kind of product in to have it out there and be represented all over the world, and that's my little girl's name. It's on the bottle. Unfortunately, it's McCall.
It's not O'Neill.
It's not O'Neill, which I get it. That's what happens. But these kind of things like are really important to me. Having family names and family is a real important thing for me. Um, my oldest son is named after his middle name is his mom's maiden name.
Okay.
So, and the reason that is because I wanted Brian, who's named after his uncle Gank, who is my wife's uncle, and her last name being Deneen and O'Neill. That's going to go on, and hopefully, that's going to be like my legacy. And
That's awesome.
thank God they've turned out really good. But Elizabeth, yes, I mean, to answer your question directly, very, very proud of Elizabeth and what she's accomplished and what she's doing. And there aren't many women in the world that can say they've done what she's done. And she has two beautiful kids. I mean, that's the whole package right there.
One of them, it's Timothy Ferris, named after him, but he goes by Ferris. So, Dad's a little unhappy about that.
Yeah,
it's okay.
no, it's okay.
You can work on that later.
Call him Timothy, so that's all right.
Right.
No, but that's a real honor to have her name on the bottle, and hopefully there'll be a lot more of those bottles coming out. I intend to buy a lot of those bottles when they come out with her name on it, and all my friends will get one, even if they don't drink whiskey. They'll be getting a bottle. So.
Yeah, I don't know when. Everybody keeps asking, when are the bottles coming out with your, not like the regular bottle? And Anne has my bottle with my signature on it, and then there's random other ones. So whenever it's as the labels run out, they'll be out there. So
for all of the whiskey hunters, there you go. Be one of the first.
Yeah. Go to Japan. There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as we transition from drinking great whiskey, how about we mix two quick cocktails?
Okay. All right. I love this. So we're going to make one cocktail that obviously is like one that and then we're going to make one that's a classic cocktail that's more my dad's pace, although my dad doesn't really like super sweet cocktail. He's not as sugar. So,
although, and I've had these conversations where, like, old fashions, people are like, old fashions are not a summer drink. I think they are a great summer drink, but that's why I love what we're gonna make.
I mean, well, fashions are like a year-round drink. Like they really. Well, should we? Okay, I'm gonna make we'll make the classic first. So we're gonna make the classic old fashioned first, and we'll make the summer one because we're summertime, so we'll leave people with that.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna make the old fashioned, and this is our maple syrup old fashioned. So I've got, be really proud of me. I've got like an actual mixing glass. I'm gonna do this the correct way. Don't judge.
Man.
I didn't even think about. I've got my giant.
You're making me look bad because I'm not going to be doing it the proper way.
Okay, well, I never do it the proper way, so here we go. But I'm gonna measure it out. So look out. Take you out with this cool thing. So I've got my 175. That's really low because we drink our bourbon in this household.
So if you're watching, that's 2 ounces of bourbon.
2 ounces of bourbon. And then I'll just put it right there. And then we have our maple syrup. And I've got a half ounce of that.
And actually, maple syrup is my favorite sugar to use in old fashions these days. I mean, like,
I love it.
forget the simples and everything like that. Like maple syrup for me is like where
Like
it's at.
real maple syrup, not Miss Othersworth.
Yes, like the real deal for
And I've
sure.
got chocolate bitters. So I'm just doing,
Of course, we both have that Woodford chocolate bitters.
that's the Woodford Reserve chocolate bitters. And then I'm going to spin it around, like give a good stir. And then I've got my strainer. And I'm going to put a little ice in this cup, in this glass.
So I'm doing my build directly in the glass.
But that's what's great. You can build directly in a glass. Like that. Yep. That's why I really love an old fashioned, honestly. But here I've got it. Pouring it. I'm not garnishing. If I was garnishing, I'd do like an orange slice, but we're not. Oh, no, that's cocktail. So that's the maple syrup. So easy to do. I mean, people are always like, make mixers. I mean, we do have great mixers, but I think it's so easy to do a cocktail like this at home, especially with the maple syrup.
Yeah.
Yes. What's your
Well,
suggestion?
the only suggestion or difference that I would put is I like sorghum.
Oh,
Sorghum.
okay.
That's pretty good in there too.
Really? Okay.
With sorghum, you get kind of a grassy, earthy kind of flavor with it, and it's a little different than maple syrup, but it's a good sweetener, just to experiment with sometime.
No.
Okay, that's awesome.
And you can get it on Amazon. You can. Oh, am I gonna have enough? We'll do this. I got enough. I got it all in here. All right, so we're gonna make the next one. So this next one is a Woodford Reserve. It's our Spire, and if you follow Woodford around Derby time, like this is what we talk about. Like, yes, we talk about our mint julep, and usually it's like the fancy mint julep. But when it comes to your drink at the track on Derby, people are drinking mint juleps, but the one that's gonna start outselling it is the Woodford Spire. And so the Woodford Spire is super easy to make. Oh goodness, enough. I got it. We're tapped out.
You might need a little double oaked in there, I think.
No, I've got just enough. But so we've got, you can do a tall glass because this is like a long sipping, great summer drink, but it's it's 1.5, 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve.
I'm actually going to be reliving my Derby days.
Do you put it in there? I know. I thought about getting one of my Spire glasses out, but then I thought I want people to see the color. So we've got
oh, you know what? That's actually a great point. All right.
I know.
I'll switch. All
right. So then we have 2 ounces of lemon. Got to get good lemonade. Don't get bad lemonade. Actually want to drink. Get good lemonade. And then I've got, so you got 2 ounces bourbon, 2 ounces for lemonade.
I forgot something.
A 1 ounce of cranberry juice. And then we're going to add ice. And so when you put the ice in there, you fill it up and it's a long sipper. I'm going to add this ice too. And you can garnish it with a lemon. I actually went out and bought lemons, but I forgot to cut it up. So we have
put it in there.
So you have a lemon garnish. But this is your Woodford Spire. So look at how beautiful the color is. Oh, yeah. Dad wants me to mix it. Give it a stir. But like beautiful color, and honestly, like lemonade is a summer drink. Lemonade with cranberry juice, summer. You could do this. I've gone and gotten the lemonade that is the strawberry lemonade and just done bourbon and strawberry lemonade, and it's so good too. Like they're both really refreshing, easy to drink. If you're gonna just hang out with friends in the evening, anywhere, go. This I would drink on the beach. Like I was asked once in an interview, what bourbon do you want to drink neat on a beach? And I said, bourbon ever, unless I was on a cold beach. Like if I was in Maine in the wintertime, okay, I'll drink neat bourbon. But I don't want to drink neat bourbon anywhere else. But I will drink this on the beach for sure. We've done it. So Woodford Spire, it's an easy cocktail. Get all the ingredients at your local grocery store. You can even do, and for all of our, just keep thinking of being responsible. You can always do this as a non-alcoholic too. Just swap out your bourbon for an iced tea, unsweetened iced tea, and it's refreshing that way too. So anyone who's attending your gathering can enjoy it that way.
And also, these are two great, very simple cocktails to make at home. So I think, one thing that I've really enjoyed, not just with my dad, but just with family in general, is introducing them to just really simple cocktails and things that they can do at home, bringing some new bottles home and saying, "Hey, let's try this."
Yeah.
And sometimes everybody's like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know," and then they sip and they're like, "Oh, okay, I get it. That's great."
This is so much better. Like people are like, oh, they like vodka and lemonade. I've turned all my friends into like bourbon lemonade people. Like bourbon and lemonade is so much better than vodka. Like vodka is way too astringent to have with it. It's just like, but like when you have bourbon with it, it actually like mellows it out and makes it so much more well rounded. Much better. It's a much better thing. So and Woodford, of course. What else would you have? There's so many citrus notes in Woodford that it really plays off of that nicely. And then all the cranberry just plays off of the dry dark fruit. So it's a perfect cocktail for Woodford Reserve.
So we just had a great question come in. When you are hanging out with the family, who is making the cocktails?
Me. I was like, I'm usually
I am the drinker.
Yes.
Dad gets over here. I'm like, Dad, what do you want? So usually it's like myself, my dad, and my husband. We're all drinking cocktails. My older brother is not a big bourbon drinker, maybe on occasion, but he really doesn't drink a lot of bourbon. He's usually like beer, and my mom likes beer a lot too. And then my little brother, when he is home, he lives in Chicago, so when he is home, he's definitely
cool. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now the cocktail guy all the time. Well, I have to be.
Yeah, it's a fun time to get together.
Absolutely. So what are you all going to be doing for Father's Day as we get ready for the weekend?
I think I'll probably just be sitting and meditating a lot. I don't have no idea, no plan. Our family enjoys each other a lot all the time, and kind of like Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays are celebrated, but it's like, we just enjoy each other.
Yeah, we do family fun night every Sunday night. So like, well, Matt and I like we.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
So but when it's Father's Day, like we're always with our father. So I'll come hang out with my dad. Matt will go hang out with his dad. So yeah, we family is important. It really is.
It is.
It's super
it's
important.
An important thing.
We're so lucky that we're all so close. So it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, Elizabeth, Tim, thank you so much for jumping on with us. I mean, again, a Reserve Bar first, and you've made it such a special evening. If you are interested in any of these products, again, they are all available on Reserve Bar right now. As I mentioned, there is a discount code for free shipping on Reserve Bar products right now. On Reserve Bar products, on Woodford products right now. And both of these cocktails are also listed within our cocktail lounge on our website. So if you want to get some inspiration for making some drinks with Dad, we have about 85 different bourbon cocktails, including these two, that you can take those recipes, take those home, and enjoy those with family. But again, thanks y'all for joining. This has been so fun.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
It's a great time.
Bye.
All right, cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.